For decades, humans have searched the stars, not just for planets, not just for signals, but for anomalies. Those rare moments when something in the cosmos refuses to obey the rules. And now, the James Webb Space Telescope may have found exactly that. What began as a routine observation of the third interstellar object ever recorded in our solar system, 3 Atlas, has turned into something far stranger, far darker, and infinitely more important. Deep in the vast, cold void beyond Mars, Webb detected something it shouldn't have. Not just light, artificial light. A glow that behaves unlike any comet or asteroid. A signature that follows no known physics of reflection or refraction. Astronomers and astrophysicists are now left with one chilling question. What is 3 Atlas really? 3 Atlas was first spotted as a faint speck at the edge of the solar system, moving in a trajectory no local object could follow. It was clearly interstellar, born beyond the gravitational pull of our Sun, flung across the galaxy by some unknown force, and now drifting silently through our neighborhood. At first, it was treated as a curiosity, like its predecessors, Oumuamua and Borisov. But even in its earliest images, something felt off. Unlike most interstellar objects, 3 Atlas was unusually bright in a way that made no sense. Its magnitude did not match its estimated size or composition. It shimmered with an unnatural consistency. Its brightness neither faded as expected nor flared with any outgassing or dust release. Traditional comets tend to brighten in bursts as ice sublimates, but this object remained steady, as if powered from within. Telescopes across the globe turned to observe it, and the James Webb Space Telescope, with its unparalleled ability to peer into the infrared spectrum, was brought in to decode the mystery. What it saw changed everything. Webb detected a centralized thermal emission that didn't match any natural reflection of sunlight. Typically, a comet shines because sunlight bounces off dust and ice. But 3 Atlas showed an internal heat signature, radiating from its core outward. This was emitted light, not scattered light. The thermal mapping revealed a pattern that followed no known distribution curve of natural objects. It pulsed faintly and irregularly, and most disturbingly, the rhythm repeated in a way that suggested design rather than randomness. Some scientists at NASA and the European Space Agency proposed exotic explanations: radioactive decay, subsurface friction, even alien isotopes. But as more data came in, these theories collapsed. The only consistent explanation left was the one no one wanted to write down. This object might be powered. As data from Webb, Hubble, and terrestrial observatories piled up, a profile of 3 Atlas began to emerge, and it looked nothing like any known celestial body. Its trajectory was too precise to be chaotic, as if it was choosing its path, subtly adjusting course through gravity wells. Its rotation was unnaturally stable, with a tumbling motion that defied standard inertial drift. Its lack of a cometary tail, even when exposed to solar radiation, suggested a shell or casing, perhaps something protecting it from the heat. Then came the most controversial finding. The albedo, or reflectivity, of its surface was measured to be nearly perfect in parts, approaching that of polished metal, not rock, not ice, not dust. The implications hit like a shockwave across the astronomical community. If it was metallic, structured, and emitting energy, then this was no longer a natural object. It was technology. Suddenly, words like probe, beacon, craft, or artifact were whispered quietly in institutional emails and hallways. The idea that this might be an alien spacecraft was no longer just speculation. It was being considered seriously. Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence wasn't the thermal emissions, or the trajectory, or the strange metallic signature. It was the light. Photometric analysis showed something chilling. The light coming from 3 Atlas was focused in a narrow spectrum band. It wasn't a broad, natural reflection of sunlight. It was a controlled emission of specific wavelengths, exactly what humans do with lead arrays, lasers, or spacecraft beacons. Furthermore, the intensity of the light responded slightly to solar radiation, as though some onboard system adjusted it in real time. It flickered not at random, but with a strange intermittent pulse. Astronomers ran the data through known signal models. Some claimed the pulses resembled binary sequences. Others suggested a rotating power source. But the conclusion was undeniable. This was not a passive object. It was doing something deliberate, and we were watching it live. A team of astrophysicists from MIT and Harvard ran a deep signal analysis over the electromagnetic emissions coming from 3 Atlas. At first glance, the frequencies seemed random, just noise scattered across the spectrum. But when they applied Fourier transforms to isolate cyclical patterns, something emerged. Within the static, buried like a whisper, was a structured repeating pulse too precise to be natural. It wasn't a standard binary, nor a typical modulation used in human technology, but it carried the unmistakable fingerprint of intentional encoding. Some speculated it could be a beacon, a repeating broadcast intended for receivers not of earthly origin. Others thought it could be telemetry, a constant data stream sent back to where the object came from. The unsettling part was that whatever the message was, it hadn't changed since Webb first detected it. It was as if 3 Atlas wasn't trying to talk to us, but to someone else, and maybe that someone had already heard it. News of the discovery spread quickly through the highest levels of scientific and defense institutions. A confidential report circulated internally within NASA and later leaked, revealing that top officials were coordinating with global space agencies to determine whether 3 Atlas posed a threat. Some scientists argued it was benign, perhaps an ancient probe centuries old on a pre-programmed route. Others weren't so optimistic. If it was transmitting, who was receiving? If it had light emissions, did it also have propulsion? And if it was here by design, why now? The report suggested the possibility, however remote, that 3 Atlas was not just passing through, but observing, tracking planetary alignments, electromagnetic fields, or even advanced civilizations. Further investigation into its luminosity led to a revolutionary hypothesis. The object wasn't just emitting energy, it might be harvesting it. The way its light output fluctuated with proximity to the sun, combined with a lack of chemical reactions, suggested a solar collection array or photonic absorption system beneath its surface. The surrounding dust cloud could serve a dual function: camouflage and energy absorption. If true, 3 Atlas could be a self-sustaining craft designed to travel indefinitely through deep space, refueling itself as it moves from star to star, a concept that aligns with theoretical models of interstellar probes, machines dormant for centuries, activating only when reaching a star system worth investigating. As international space agencies scrambled for answers, one truth became increasingly clear: humanity is not ready. Despite decades of speculation about extraterrestrial contact, our systems, political, scientific, philosophical, are wildly unequipped to process what 3 Atlas might represent. No official statements were made, but leaked documents from agencies in France, Japan, and Brazil hinted at the same conclusion. This object might not be an anomaly, but a first encounter in slow motion. And unlike Hollywood depictions, there was no landing, no sudden appearance, no immediate answers, only data, only light, only silence. Webb continues to observe the object every day, but every answer it delivers raises 2 more questions. If this is contact, it's on their terms, not ours. Quiet, distant, unsettling, and perhaps the most terrifying part is that we may have already been seen. Just when astronomers believed 3 Atlas had settled into a predictable trajectory, something unexpected happened. Its luminosity spiked dramatically. This wasn't gradual. It was a sudden flare captured in real time by Webb and confirmed by ground-based observatories. The object's brightness increased by nearly 40% in under 2 minutes, then stabilized at a new, higher level. No natural explanation fit. There was no solar-wind interaction, no impact, no fragmentary disintegration. It was as if someone, or something, had flipped a switch. The flare also changed the thermal signature, almost like systems had powered on. Theorists proposed a chilling possibility. The object had entered an awakened phase, either triggered by the sun or by our own observations. And if this flare was intentional, it was meant to be seen. Shortly after the flare, orbital calculations detected another anomaly. 3 Atlas was no longer following its projected path. The shift was subtle, but measurable. Gravity alone couldn't explain it, and solar radiation pressure didn't account for the change. The shift seemed deliberate, moving deeper into the solar system toward the plane of Earth's orbit. Some scientists called it a gravitational anomaly. Others saw it as a maneuver. If 3 Atlas could navigate, even slightly, then we weren't observing a relic. We were watching a vessel in motion, with intent. Spectroscopic instruments aboard Webb and Hubble detected elements and compounds that raised more red flags. Highly reflective alloys, rare earth elements, and even spectral lines resembling compounds never before catalogued. These materials were not natural. They were engineered or synthesized under conditions unknown on Earth. Some resembled theoretical compounds from quantum material labs. This discovery implied either an unimaginable age, predating human civilization by millennia, or advanced recent manufacture by a far superior civilization. The nature of these materials spoke louder than any signal. The messenger itself was unnatural. As evidence of non-natural origin mounted, governments and agencies reacted urgently, quietly increasing encryption, reassigning research teams, and recalibrating satellites. Leaked documents suggested that 3 Atlas might not be alone, but a scout. Its unusual structure, stable rotation, and ability to remain operational across interstellar distances indicated long-term observation design. But if it was scouting, what was it looking for? And more disturbingly, what might come next? Across observatories, universities, and military command centers, a terrifying consensus formed. We were no longer alone, and first contact might not be a conversation, it could be an evaluation. A bold team at the SETI Institute transmitted a focused radio pulse toward 3 Atlas, containing universal mathematical constants, the periodic table, and basic visual representations of humanity, a cautious cosmic hello. Days passed. Then, just as the experiment was about to be archived, a monitoring station in Chile registered something strange. A narrowband return pulse, off frequency, distorted, but timed to mirror the original message. It wasn't language. It wasn't an echo. It was a ping, deliberately calculated. It meant something had received our message and answered deliberately. After the return ping, observatories experienced technical anomalies. Webb's infrared instruments showed erratic thermal mapping. Hubble's gyroscopes registered microfluctuations. Ground telescopes faced software glitches, frozen data, and misaligned star charts, always focused on 3 Atlas. The object wasn't just emitting signals. It was selectively interfering, managing what we could see and when. A passive visitor doesn't hide. A scout does. We weren't watching it. We were being allowed to watch. Pattern recognition and probability analysis revealed the most terrifying discovery. 3 Atlas path through the solar system mirrored a Fibonacci arc relative to planetary positions, an ancient spiral found throughout nature. Timing of course corrections, light flares, and the ping response correlated with prime number sequences. These patterns were chosen. 3 Atlas wasn't flying randomly. It was navigating with mathematical precision, following a map or schedule. Some theorists whispered the unthinkable. This might not be an interstellar probe. It might be an interstellar message, not in sound or symbols, but in behavior. And humanity had just decoded its first word. As the dust settles, one truth is impossible to ignore. 3 Atlas was never just a rock. From its unnatural light to its return signal, from rare materials to precise trajectory changes, every piece of evidence points to one conclusion. We have not been alone for a very long time. Perhaps we were never meant to know. The James Webb Telescope, built to peer into the birth of galaxies, may have instead glimpsed something designed to look back. Something ancient, deliberate, and watching, not from a distant star, but from our own celestial neighborhood. And yet, silence reigns. Agencies refuse to speak, data is withheld, but we saw the light, we tracked the path, and now the question remains, what happens next? Is 3 Atlas simply cataloging our world, or is it the first of many? In the cold, endless dark, something may already be turning its attention toward the blue planet that blinked first. The countdown may have already begun. The universe reminds us once again, we are not the center. We are the observed.